And basically, well, all I'm wearing is a dressing gown, so I don't want the entire internet to see my penis. Well, not unless I take up a career as a cam model, but yeah. Phew, who shall I use? Who shall I use? Not sure. Where if I use the vortex? Actually, I think I'll delete him and I'm going to start anew. Because, yeah. I had a funny old week. People. Well, I've had a weekend where I've been so busy recently. I just wanted a weekend where I did fuck all. Mainly because I've been a bit tired. I've had a lot of trouble with my lower back bottom area. So yeah, I wanted to relax it. I've got to go to the doctors about it anyway because my feeling is it might be something serious and I need to get it sorted. But a lot's happened on Twitter. Basically, I was I've stopped following Tonka completely because I've watched a lot of his stuff recently and it's just been dreadful, really bad.
Targets identified.
I watched the stream he had with Destiny. Destiny was on it, and it was the most an absolute shit show. Awful stuff.
Select a personality to determine social behavior.
You know, it was pretty much just it was like watching a moron trying to discuss things with someone who's sort of cleverer than them, and it just came across so badly. You know, Tonka looked like a fucking idiot, basically.
From available data.
You know, my feeling is that Tonka has put himself into a yes man position where everyone around him is constantly kissing his ass and saying how wonderful he is, and it's really he's got to the point now where he believes his own bullshit, and it's quite cringy to watch, especially when he thinks that he can own people by doing this sort of mix of trying to take everything they say out of context. Doesn't matter what you're saying, he'll just want to shout at you, and it's really pathetic. It you know, I can't really even put my finger on it where he just went completely off the rails, but it's really sad to see as well because, you know, I haven't watched the Kumite for quite a while. I only watched the Destiny end of the Kumite thing where Andy Warski had dragged him in, and they spent the next 8 hours trying to say stupid things about him being a paedophile for some reason. A paedophile for seeing a picture of a girl in a bikini and she was underage. So that's just as bad as what JF was doing, because this is where all of this comes from. They're all constantly trying to attack Destiny because he said that what JF Gabateur or whatever his name is was doing was a little bit. Ugh. It was a bit yucky, and I'm sort of in agreement there. You know, I am a bit of a romantic chap, you know, and all that. But really, what he was doing, if the courts got involved, it's not exactly what I consider sort of just a simple case of a man standing against the state. It felt a lot more like someone who was doing something really dodgy and got caught out. Also, when JF was talking about all of this back when, because he'd been off the Drunken Peasants for a long, long time, then all of a sudden he reappeared, and he was going on and on about how hard his life had been for the past year and all that. And I was like, oh, well, I feel sorry for the bloke. But then when he actually came out with what was going on with the whole stuff happening in Texas, it didn't really sound... For a start, it didn't sound logical. And then, you know, I was like, oh, well. And I started watching his streams, which were sort of okay. Sometimes he'd have a really interesting conversation, or he'd dismantle a point of view. And then it all started going very, very sort of alt-right. And he was sort of getting people like Tara McCarthy and you know, Aidan Paladin and people like that who are basically nuts. You know, Aidan Paladin, I was initially interested in what she had to say, and then I think for the first couple of months that she was on YouTube, it was all sort of, you know, half-truths. What her opinion was half of what she actually believed. But then when she started getting some popularity and started appearing, oh, hello. You've ruined my train of thought. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Aidan Paladin, she was quite good for the first couple of months, but I always felt that she was sort of holding something back. And then she started doing streams with no bullshit. And then all of the really wacky right-wing stuff started coming out. You know, all the stuff that what's it called? The conspiracy theory stuff. The idea of you know, the Jewish conspiracy thing, and it did sound a little bit, you know, wonky, and then gradually it got more and more wonky till she did a video about Doctor Who, which was just total garbage. It was this concept that there was an episode that involved monks who were they were like mummy monk things, and they needed you to... it was the old Dracula thing, that Dracula has no power over you unless you invite him in. So, you know, and it was one of the more stinky stories of that season anyway. You know, the last season of Peter Capaldi wasn't very good at all, really. I've not even bothered to rewatch the episodes because they seemed a little bit tired, and they also... I don't think it was... I think it was more the producer trying to throw out everything that he'd saved over the years, and a lot of it felt disconnected. You know, the Missy stuff made a little bit of sense early on, and then it started going completely bonkers, and by the end of it, it just seemed stupid. Especially when the Master appeared, and I was like, oh, for crying out loud. If you're going to use a Master, use another Master. Don't use the one from the terrible Davies era. Anyway, let's I've got to do my pellet. I'm going to do a magician. So I've got to choose colours that I like. Where's purple? I've got the John Williams playing in the background because I recently sat down and watched all. Well, actually, I say 5 because Superman Returns is supposed to be a sequel to the original Superman films, and also I like bits of it. It's not a great movie, but it's better than it could have been. You know, it's certainly better than bloody Man of Steel, which pretty much wrecked the whole idea of Superman. You know, how can you have a Superman film where he's not even called Superman in it? But yeah, quite like this look. It's a bit red. Now I've got to come up with a name, but let's just do a few alterations first. I think I'll do the back. Oh my mouth! Sorry. Took a swig of coffee and it went down the wrong hole. Anyway, the Tonka stuff. I'm getting completely off of track of what I was talking about. So, you know, when I first came into contact with Tonka, it was mainly through his. What are you talking? What are you talking? Oh. Anyway, when I first started following him was back when he was doing wrestling videos. And I'm quite a fan of pro wrestling. I've been a fan of pro wrestling since I was about 5 years old, because it used to be on British TV. There used to be a thing called World of Sports. Trying to get the skin colour right. And yeah, so he'd have all these wrestling videos, and then one evening I noticed he had a stream up, and I was like, take a drink, don't choke. Ah, right. Yes. So he had a stream up, and I was like, oh, this is interesting. I'll have a look in what this is. And you know, I'd started following him on Twitter and all that, and it was mainly him watching really terrible wrestling videos and laughing at them. And I even showed him one that was really funny. That was a shark cage match with a real heel villain called Bulldog Don Kent, and the match was in an actual shark cage, which is about the size of a phone box, and it was him fighting I think it was Jay Strongbow, and it's just hilarious, and everyone was falling about laughing, and it was you know, quite fun. And then I noticed he started doing streams and stuff, and we started talking on Twitter, and we had, well, it wasn't an argument so much, it was just that he was talking about Antifa, and I'm not fully believing that a gang of how do you spell sorcerer? You know, a gang of... Because the amount of Antifa pictures and videos and stuff like that I've seen And I have come into contact with Antifa in the past, not me being part of them. No. I met a load of these different groups when I got stuck in London back in 2008. There was a big anti-capitalist march, and loads of anarchist groups appeared, and one of them was Antifa. And the police took to this thing called kettling, where they basically made a big ring around people so they wouldn't break things. That was the logic. Unfortunately, I walked out the National Gallery after looking at some absolutely beautiful wooden sculptures of the saints, St. Paul and all that. They were carved out of wood, they were painted, they were beautiful, they were about I think about 800 years old, and they were amazing to look at because the delicacy of the painting. It looked like flesh, it didn't look like wood at all, and they got all the detail, even the detail of the nails was there, the different shades of a human nail. And so I walked out and I got caught up in all this shit. And I was stuck in Piccadilly Circus, which is an expensive place to eat, but I was there for 8 hours, so I had to keep getting snacks. I was lucky that the McDonald's was only limiting people who had hoods and masks on from entering the building, or I'd have been shitting myself all afternoon. And I'd go up to the police every now and then and say, well, can I go now? I want to go home. And they go, no one's allowed to move. No one's allowed to move beyond this point. I was like, oh, for fuck's sake. So I was stuck with hordes of these people. McDonald's at Piccadilly. Yeah. This is about, 7 years ago, so it might have moved by now, but you get that in a lot. You must be wealthy in Chile. Ah, right. Well, anyway, so I was caught up with all of these groups, and I saw the Antifa, and I actually was really funny, was the police had to come into Piccadilly Circus at one point with their dogs and their riot shields and all that to break up 2 anarchist groups who were... It was turning pretty heated. I think there were not ANCAPs, and they were... I think they were Maoists. They weren't regular communists. They were Maoist anarchists. But they were, first shouting at each other, and then they started scuffling, and then it was turning into fights, and then people were picking up things to drop on people. So so that's the first time I actually saw the European end of Antifa. But all of the videos I've seen of Antifa since then, there's a YouTuber I really like called, wait a minute, let me find his name. Goose something, is it? Oh, what's his name? I know how to look it up. Peanut Cell at Berkeley. Oh, I love this music. Vito Gesaldi. Yeah, he's really funny. He did this thing where he went to Berkeley when there was a load of protesters, and he was selling peanuts. And his videos are good because he gets right in with a crowd. Because he's not a well-known YouTuber, he can do that. And he actually did a video recently when there was all that bullshit on the internet about the beheading Antifa super soldiers. Yeah, and he went along and they were just sort of... There was no one there, really. No. Mysterious. Mr. Where should I... What should Mr. something? Something beginning with H. Oh, I know. He's smiling, so he can be Mr. Happy. Now, will it let me do that?
Error.
No! Oh, you swine.
Download successful.
This will probably take about 6 hours now, trying to find a name that no one else has done. Will not have a say. Probably say too many words now. So, no.
Error.
Yeah, I'm going to be here for another 4 hours trying to do... Oh, no. Oh.
Download successful.
Oh, I know. I'll go for Mr. E.
Error.
No, name's already taken.
Download successful.
Bugger. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just Mr. E. Yay! It worked! Mr. E.
Earth,
As in mystery.
the center of the multiverse.
I wish they made an updated version of this game
I do not plan an
where
invasion,
you could put in your voices.
assimilation. I have
But I've got magic. I don't usually go for magical characters because I'm not a big magic fan. But yes.
The hack worked. I'm in and you're awake and free. Whew. Okay, I'm Oracle and we are gonna get you off this ship. Look for a doorway out.
Quite like those duds.
They broke my hack. The ship knows you're free. Watch out!
units move into position. Contain.
Get ready. My readings show forces gathering beyond that door.
Yeah, magic. The problem I've always had with magic, especially when it's used in things like the Bible, as in the miraculous, is there's no explanation for it. People could just go, "Ooh, it works
Gather
magic."
reinforcements. I will patrol towards the prisoner bay.
Oh, now I remember what I was talking about. I tell you, this is a problem with having an autistic brain. You can't really. It's like sort of being in a room with 12 television sets on, all showing different channels.
That was an
and
overseer.
you have a tendency
Let's
to
get
lose
you out of their
focus on
patrol
what you're
range.
talking
Look
about.
for a transport tube. They crisscross
But,
the ship. Use
yeah,
that to
so-
keep moving.
You know, I'd had this argument about Antifa on Twitter with Tonka, and I said, you know, not all of them are violent psychopaths, because,
All units.
you
The
know,
subject
that's
has
the
left
sort of
the main
shit that
corridors.
people like.
Search the vessel.
Alex Jones says. It's quite funny because Alex Jones also says, you know, let's bring down the government if they take our guns. And I'm like, dude, you can either be a pacifist or be someone who's pro killing things. You can't be both. You know, it's really funny. Also, all of his claims that the president's going to be assassinated. He was saying that at Christmas time. I was like, Jesus Christ, can't you let your fans just have an evening where they can watch the television or have some time with their family? You got to be centre of attention all the fucking time. So he got me on a stream and he basically proceeded to yell at me for like nearly an hour till I saw. Basically, he was being so pushy that it gets to a point where you just go, well, yeah, okay then, whatever.
Motion detected in
You
the
know,
hallways.
every time I said, can't we agree to disagree, he wouldn't have it. He was like, about it. And, you know, bringing in names of people who are known liars, like Ian Miles Chong.
There's a high security
I'm like,
nexus up
Jesus
ahead.
Christ,
Get
if you're
through
getting
and use the
information
transport
from
tube.
that bloke, you know, Ian Miles Chong was the piece of shit who put out the bloke who went and ran down all the protesters at Charlotte was a member of Antifa and had no evidence, and then was eventually called out on it, and then he started blocking people who called him out on it. You know, it's just like he's the last person you go to for political information on anything.
Delivering shipment
Especially
of
funny because Ian
goods.
Miles Chong used to be
All
a
units,
SJW.
position. Contain the human.
But he claims, oh, I'm not one anymore. I'm not one anymore. Yes, you are. You're just a right-wing SJW. Because he uses exactly the same tactics he used to use when he was sort of accusing Gamergators of being rapists. You know, you start mentioning that, and then he'll start crying that you're bullying him, and he'll rush for all of his defenders. Get some distance between them. Oh, this is a bit in the film where he makes the
Delivering shipment of
Fortress of Solitude. I still love the 78 Superman. Absolutely fantastic movie. I'd still say it's better than most modern superhero films, even though the special effects are a little bit wonky nowadays.
delivering
It's
shipment
got
of
plot and it's got
goods.
humour, and it's actually 3 movies in one.
Get ready.
It-
The ship
it
is sending
uses,
more security your way.
Elements of like 3 different styles of movie. Right, come on, you wankers. Yeah, you got the Krypton stuff that was all sort of high art, filmed science fiction, and then you
These
got
energy readings. Brainiac has a full invasion force stored on the
Kansas.
ship.
That's
We
very
have to
sort
destroy
of.
it.
Oddly, it was all filmed in Canada, but
Human activity
it's got a very sort of
detected
rustic
nearby.
feel to it. And then when you get to Metropolis, it's like a 1970s movie. Very obviously. But it's also very beautifully shot. Amazingly, a lot of it was actually filmed in the UK. because UK film has always been popular with big studios because of the
Target coordinates
you know, you get all the best people in one place at one time. It's not like in America where you got studios all over the country, and
Objective in sight.
whether they're good or bad is like
Status.
you know, a lot of people are employed in companies that aren't very good at what they do. They're just sort of held around, but Britain was always good because people would get their education at small production houses, things like the BBC, and they'd learn their craft that way, and they would do like location filming, stuff like that. Actually, one of my favourite B-movie directors, Andy Sidarsky, or just Sidaris. Get my tongue untied. Andy Sidaris. He was actually a producer and a cameraman for sports programs. And he was very good at filming cheerleaders. Then he realised that there was like a popularity for
The ship's main gun is up
particularly
ahead.
for the
Destroy it,
Skinemax
and the ship's external
channel.
defense network will go down. Then the League can get
You know,
in and
the
get you
modern
out of
day
there.
equivalent of the Sci-Fi Channel employs a lot of people from Troma, especially because they make low-cost movies. Oh, this is where Marlon Brando's head appears. Need to go to bed at a decent time today. I went to bed at about well, it was about 5 o'clock in the morning, because I was on, I was just on the internet, and I was watching YouTube videos and going on Pornhub.
Reach the prime weapon
And it's just, I looked at the clock and it was like 4:30 in the morning. I went, oh, actually, I better go to bed.
You cannot stop the conversion.
Oh, dear. Still, I've got to keep my mindset in this sort of,
You're in the Nexus. Destroy anything connecting the gun to the ship.
because I'll be switching back to lates. I had a really good like latter part of the year last year that I managed to work out with my employer, because there was like I was the only actually fully employed staff. They were getting temps in and stuff. That I managed to wiggle it that I got to work earlies constantly, which was a bit tiring, especially if I was doing birthing stocks and things like that, and doing emergency covers. You know, you get up at 3:30 in the morning and you're not home till 3:30 in the afternoon, and you're sort of a bit drained, but it's worth it because you get extra money, you know. I'm not working in the transport industry because of it being a hobby. I'm doing it because I get paid, and I like money, and I like buying things. Say that, you bitch. What? Yeah, I will get back to the Tonka topic. So, you know, then later on, I thought I was completely done with the whole thing. And then Tonka brought me back, because he'd had a big argument with a full-on communist called, what was it? The bloody name. Gonna have to look up on my phone. Pascal's Wager. Yeah, that that he had. I actually watched a stream that Pascal was on, which was about Antifa, and I was pretty amazed that the bloke stayed as long as he did, because, you know, Tonka was his most toxic, yelling and screaming and doing that whole thing where he says, I don't care what you think, and all this shit, you know, that has become basically his method nowadays whenever he discusses anything with anyone who doesn't 100% agree with him. He just yells at them and trying to use the gotchas and all that stuff. So we had a quite interesting conversation where I pretty much just pointed out that the way he spoke to me was wrong, really. That he needed to be a little less instantly judgmental. That people can have views that aren't his, and actually, you know, a little bit of live and let live. So, you know, and that was all fine. And then finally he managed to get me onto another stream, and that was the one that King Carl came in, and he basically was trolling me. That's why I quite like Carl, because he does troll me a bit, you know, and I don't mind that so much, because you know, I
Only one couplet remains.
I don't mind people jokingly being playful with me. That I've got no problem with at all. But when they're being nasty to me, that's when I don't like it. Because the last appearance I had on the Commentaries was when I was drunk. And I was very drunk because it was about sort of... I bumped into a friend of a friend who died. And it made me a bit depressed, you know, emotional and all that, and so I was a bit drunk. I was very jokey, and I was telling Tonka about stuff that I used to do many years ago, even though give this fucking idiot any information and he'll use it against you forever, because he was using it the other day. I said about when I was a teenager, we used to go cow tipping, and occasionally we do the dung sniffing thing, where you get high from sniffing methane from cow manure. Well, you could do it with any manure, but cow manure, it's not really that stinky because it's mostly grass. You know, if it was dog shit, you'd definitely be gagging all over the place. But, you know, I told him that, and I did that when I was about 14. But he's using it on me now. Oh, you're still cow shit sniffer and all that. I was like, yeah, I'm 41 years old. It wasn't even in this century. But he's just such a weak person that he use anything against anyone. And you know, he started having an argument on Twitter with Pascal, not Pascal, with Destiny.
Superman, get ready. I'm bringing you in.
And I quite like Destiny stuff because his streams, they talk about things that I'm interested in, like ethics, philosophy,
think again, Brainiac.
You know,
you can't take
statistics.
out the both of us. And we're not leaving until we shut this ship down.
It reminds me actually quite a lot of why I like things like Christopher Hitchens and Sam Harris when there used to be the old also the Amazing Atheists, when there was the old internet wars with the Christians. Part of the thing that I most enjoyed was being able to do something else, like be at work and listen to a stream of people
Almost there.
talking
Keep fighting. The network doesn't want to let me in.
about, you know, intellectual things. about the morality of stuff like Adam and Eve, things like that, you know. All the problems with faith. And he has, what I like about Destiny is he's not playing to a crowd, and he's not talking to people in like a echo chamber, which some YouTube liberals do, you know, which I think's a shame. I wish there was more discussion between both sides, but the problem is the right-wing side is so toxic.
Brainiac wasn't counting on you breaking free and disabling his ship.
Most of them can't actually have an intellectual conversation. They just yell at each other like babies. Still don't like that new Superman.
Yes, it's done.
This
Superman
Superman's look
Use
is
the
to tie in
teleporters to
with that
escape.
not very good
Go.
Justice League film. Oh, I've got a bit of a headache today. A little bit cold still.
Congrats! Now that you're off the ship, I'm Oracle. You've just teleported into MPD's 5th Precinct Station, one of the many Justice League safe houses we keep in Gotham and Metropolis. The safe houses are where you'll find contacts for missions, mailboxes, vendors, and the teleporter to the Justice League Watchtower.
Oh, Superman hoodie. Glowing gloves. I'll use them. Where's my hats? Ah, my dandy. Buckaroo. This is all stuff I've already unlocked. There's a lot of unlocking in this game and you can buy stuff, and you can buy stuff with actual money, but I don't do that often because really had the need to. Oh yeah, I was going to do auras when I do my aura. So yeah, so I you know, well, for a long time I didn't ever comment on people's videos, but then after a while I started getting, I'd do a comment and then I'd get someone else saying something. I was like, oh wow, this is interesting. So I started doing more and more commenting on videos. So I saw one of Tonka streams that was like fucking,
this is Wonder Woman. Your
as per
ability
usual,
to break free from Brainiac is an impressive
cancer.
testament to your new magical powers. I'm asking you to
I
use
did
these
try
now
to
in the
watch
fight
it,
for freedom and
but
truth.
it just,
Felix
it's
Faust and his
so
agents are stealing souls
over
in
the top
Chinatown.
and ridiculous,
Your aid could tip
and
the balance.
everyone's shouting at each other. I just got bored in the end. There you go, how do I look? The belt. Oh, I need my aura. My aura. There you go. I look like an ethereal being. I like this supervillains music.
I'm sure I have something here that can help you. Take a look.
So, oh, what's that? Limited. No, I'm selling stuff. No, don't need that. Don't need that. Don't need those because I'm a refined man about town. Yeah, so I pretty much basically said it like I saw it, that it was fucking shit. And then I get Tonka fucking, I blocked him before when he was saying a load of stupid shit at me. And I unblocked him for some reason. I think he wanted to talk about something. And I even messaged him about 3 weeks ago, just before Christmas, about how he really needs to buck up, how his streams are terrible, where he just doesn't listen to anything anyone says, he's just shouting. It's like watching a child. But, yeah, so I didn't really want anything to do with him for ages and ages and ages. And then all of a sudden this pops up and he's arguing with me and he's getting other people involved and all
their
that.
Souls crying out for freedom.
And I was like, you know, really,
to summon the soul globes, then
it doesn't matter.
And free their spirits.
And now, I'm sure I'm flavour of the month. He'll probably be whinging about me on something or other, or
the spellcaster Zatanna led
some
the fight
bollocks
to
like that. See, that's when you know the person you're
Faust is
talking
some
to
way to
is an
silence
idiot.
her.
When
We
they
must
say,
free her
"You're
before it is too
nothing to
late."
me, you're nothing to me," and then they keep talking about you, and you start, well, you know, if I'm nothing to you, stop talking about me. But I did get some lols out of it, you know. Oh, I'm not Superman, I've got to remember that. Ooh. Hey, looking cool. There we go. Ooh. Yeah, so the whole problem with the whole Kumite thing, and why I don't even watch it anymore, is that well, for a start, it seems very unfair all the time. You know, I've always been led to believe in a fair fight. A fair fight is where you have one against one, not four people yelling at one person, which seems to be the whole thing on this Kumite stuff now. All Tonka seems to want to do is either kiss up to Andy Warski, which I find really pathetic, or bully people about things that he's got nothing to do with. Like, the number of times I've said to Tonka about the skeptic community, he goes, "I'm not part of the skeptic community." And then he'll be sort of taking things that the skeptic community are doing personally. This whole Kilroy shit. I watched some of that stream where he basically was just yelling at a woman who was sort of had a little bit of something to do with the whole thing. She wasn't the actual organiser, and he's yelling and screaming at her. And actually, the thing that really annoyed me, this is why I completely said I'm done with you, I'm not going to follow you anymore, all this shit, was because I watched a stream, because I quite like Mr. Repsion,
these soulless victims
and
of
he was on the
Faust's
Warski thing, and I haven't seen him doing a chat thing for quite a while, not since he was on Drunken Peasants. So I sat down to watch, and there's fucking Tonka, Sinatra says Geek Fulu. I'm like, oh Jesus Christ, this really will be a shit show. Oh, and who else was it? Oh yeah, Warski was there. And they're fucking badgering Mr. Repsion, who's got more followers than all of them combined, into why he put on his Twitter that he was going to the Kilroy event and see you there. Somehow that made him implicated in the whole balls up about the secret server, all that stuff. Oh, it was all his fault. I'm like, I couldn't work out what fucking Tonka's whole bullshit was. That he's yelling at a bloke who was invited. He's got nothing to do with the organisation side. And Tonka's yelling and screaming at him. And, you know, Daniel's not a particularly big bloke. And I've got a feeling he's probably not going to ever go on a stream with any of these people ever again. Because they basically bullied him into agreeing with them on something. Some crazy ass bullshit about, you know, oh, well, you should know what the organisers are about and all that before you go. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Oh, I remember there was fucking Ian Miles Chong was in there doing his usual kissing up to whoever is the loudest voice. You know, that's something that made me laugh with the Destiny stream when he was on there with Tonka, and I could see it. Chong was trying to sort of distance himself, as he usually does, from the losing side. So he sort of was begrudgingly apologising to Destiny for not actually checking. It was some bloody thing about an HIV thing. And I was just like, oh my god, he's such a worm. You know, Warski's a worm as well, but fucking hell. Chong would sell his granny to sort of relieve himself of being not in with the cool kids. It's like all that shit where he kept defending what fucking that absolute moron bimbo, that Valenti chick from Twitch, the one who pretended for years and years and years she was dopey for attention, and then when she finally got attention after she was blocked from Twitch for a year or so, she did some bullshit. She came out with all this right-wing fucking MAGA bullshit. BRB. What the hell does BRB mean? But yeah, she's just the most idiotic person I've ever seen, and it's quite funny because she'll go on. I saw her in a stream with Destiny at one point where he just basically completely owned her, and she wouldn't give up. She was going, meh, 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 meh. But you know, this is what. Well, I'm hoping they don't consider her a skeptic, or that team really will have sunk to a new low. But yeah, it's aggravating and stupid because I know